Oh, aha,
Hey, good morning, everyone. The computer screen was sleeping too.
kicked me
So,
out.
hey, everyone, this is the Hyde Park Ninjas coming at you. Happy Monday. Here for our 9:15 morning kick with Ninjava. So, KO, how was your weekend?
Weekend was great. It was busy and got a lot of stuff done around the house. And hey, Maui, how's it going?
Good morning, Maui.
Um,
I think Maui's from Norway.
I think so.
I've got a training partner out there in Norway, Mr. Kenneth,
Nice.
real good martial
Taekwondo
artist.
or
Actually, he trains karate under Chuck Norris, and he actually trains under one of my other instructors is Amagur Rafi and Filipino Arnis with stick and knife fighting. He's a great martial artist. I think he's nursing an injury. He's a really great teacher and he's taught his children well, and they're getting older and stronger. And I think he suffered a broken rib the other day, but
oh
he's
man.
a heck of a martial artist, well versed in a lot of different arenas. He's currently practices jujitsu as well, like us. So he's got all the different spectrums covered.
Wow,
So,
super cool.
but well, I think, man, last week I know we had camp here in our area in North Carolina, so it was a really busy week. And last week was also the 50th anniversary of Bruce Lee passing away. So the 50th year. So it's crazy. It's been that long already. Died so young.
Yeah, I think it was July 20th. Um, was the anniversary date. So actually somebody posted in our Discord. I think it was Camo's in uh, a tribute video that people had made for him. So it was pretty cool. I think back. I Bruce Lee was gone before uh I was born, but just what he did for the martial arts and um really made it popular and man, we have careers kind of because of those pioneers that started off um in that era making martial arts popular. So definitely owe a lot of appreciation towards Bruce Lee.
Yeah, definitely. I know he died when I was almost a year old. I'll be
Mm.
51 this week actually, and he passed on just before I turned one. So that was one person, one martial artist I would have loved to have met. That would have been really cool. And he was just watching him as a kid. He's so fast. And, you listen to interviews with some just unbelievably great fighters, and they all say the same thing. He was just so fast and he was the quickest around. Nobody could touch him. And I remember hearing Jim Kelly speak about him, and Jim Kelly trained with him and has seen him fight a lot of really good big name people, and has
Wow.
never really mentioned who he's beat, but he said basically everybody's been beat by him. So, but respectfully, he didn't call it any names. So I know there's been so many different names over the years thrown out there, and I think there was a recent thing that popped up with even Bolo Young, who is a massive guy. He's like stocky, built, and he's been like the martial arts bad guy for years. I know growing up as a kid, I've seen him in all the Bruce Lee movies as the villain, and a lot of the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies back in the day. And he was always like the bad guy, and he's a pretty quiet guy from what I've seen. I never have had the opportunity to meet him, but I was up in it was either Niagara Falls or somewhere in Canada. I was at a tournament as a kid. This is back, it was late 80s or early 90s. He was actually at a tournament, and they were doing some filming for an upcoming movie that he was doing. And I don't even know what the movie was. It might have been one of Van Damme's movies, but
Mm.
I never got to meet him. But he was there at the tournament. It was pretty cool. It was like a for real, because you see him on the screen, and then he's like right there. And I was a brand new beginner student back then. I think I was maybe a yellow belt, if that. And it was just a for real moment. to see him. So, and he's a pretty built guy. But he even did a I think he did an interview recently, and he had told someone I didn't hear it firsthand because it was in Chinese, but the way that they translated it, he said that Bruce Lee was the quickest. He was so fast, and I know those guys have had many sparring matches back in the day, from what I heard when he was in the a couple of the movies with him. So it would be
It,
interesting and really cool to see some of that footage if any of it ever came out. So there could be some out there I just haven't seen, but Bruce Lee has just touched so many lives. And I remember seeing in captions, he always talked about be like water, and be adaptive. And that's one thing that he lived by, is he was always adaptive. He used multiple martial arts, studied boxing, and was just a pioneer, like you said. And he said, be like water. If you pour water into a glass, it's going to take shape of the glass. If you pour it into a bottle, it's going to take the form of that bottle. And it's so true when you think about martial arts. So there's I think we actually did an interview a while back on leadership. And I feel like we always get that question first: what is the best martial art? And I don't know that there's one that's better than the other. It's really the one that you use the best, and it's the right movement that makes sense for the attack that's coming. So, but it's good to know all of them. You get some training in different ways, and it helps you to adapt a little bit easier.
yeah, that question, the which martial art is the best, or my martial art is better than your martial art. I mean, that we've all heard it, and man, just look at okay, if you watch the UFC fights, man, you have a jiu-jitsu practitioner, um, will win, but then a boxer will win, and then a wrestler will win, and then Lyoto Machida bringing traditional martial arts, traditional karate, world champion. So it's not. I don't think there's a particular martial art like exactly like you said, but it's like it's the practitioner and the application of the moves, and the techniques, and um, that's that's what makes the best well-rounded fighter, or even if you're not fighting, just for self-defense. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I always like that. That's a nice conversation whenever someone starts which martial art's the best, and it's like, well, actually, I don't really think there is a best.
Yeah.
So you might find the best for you, especially, man, my body and my I don't kick like I used to. So Taekwondo, I still love Taekwondo, and I love teaching, and but I can't perform like I used to in Taekwondo. But Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fits my body a little bit better at the moment. I'm able um, to do more and be a little bit more efficient um, in grappling, just with my hips and stuff. Um, so yeah, it could change for you over time too, which martial art works best for you.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because as you start to age, yeah, I've watched my body and felt my body change over the years, and you get different injuries, different surgeries, just as things wear out, and you do have to change what you do. So, the days of being in the 20s doing the lots of 360 kicks and 540s, those days are done. Not to say we can't still teach it. I really enjoy teaching that stuff. It's just at some point the body just can't do it anymore. So not safely. But you brought up a good point with the UFC. It's really gone full circle,
Yeah,
because you do see where, like, the jiu-jitsu guys will dominate for a while. Then some of your stand-up guys come in. And back when I was a lot younger, when UFC was just coming out, it was done different. I feel like nowadays people prepare for one fight, and you might prepare 3 months, for a specific fight. And the way that the tournaments used to be held, and I remember going to one in actually in Buffalo, New York, before they were deemed illegal to perform in New York, because you couldn't do fights there for a long time. But in
yeah.
the first one that I went to, it was like a round robin thing. So you would have everybody that entered the tournament, or the UFC at that time, and I think it was still called UFC, I believe. But they would go in, and if you had 16 fighters, it would be like a tournament, basically, like a brackets in basketball almost. And you'd
Hmm.
have a fighter go against a fighter in one bracket, then another fighter against another fighter on the other bracket. Whoever there was the winner, they would go on to the next match. and it went on for the whole night until there were two guys left. And I could remember the one that I went to. I don't even know who the fighter was. There was so many different fighters that I'd never heard of. And there was a guy that actually won his match, really good fighter. But in winning the match, he suffered an injury and he
Mm,
wasn't able to continue. So if I remember correct, the guy that lost the match actually take had to take his spot because he wasn't
mm,
able to perform. I think that was the way that that was handled. But so it's just a little bit different where you go in as just a fighter with your style back then, and you have to adapt on the fly to someone that's a wrestler or someone that's just a bodybuilder that got thrown in there, or someone that's a taekwondo guy. So you're preparing for everything. And I think it's just different now where these guys have time, to prepare for, okay, I'm fighting this guy. He's got a wrestling background. So I'm going to prepare for that guy for that skill.
yeah, and when the UFC first started in the early '90s, seeing yeah they'd have to fight 3 or 4 times in a night. Um, and so and I know you've competed a ton, and you know I've been through some mixed martial arts fights that were rough, and so you finish the fight, and to think about fighting again and then again like 3 or 4 times in a night, um, that is impressive, especially just being through that process a few times. That would be really difficult to do. So,
Yeah, I remembered we used to do a lot of really heavy sparring when I was a lot younger and more full contact. We didn't use a lot of equipment back then. I think we had like foot gear. Some people wore cups, some didn't. We had our gloves and that was it. And we would fight every day. I mean, that's just what we did. We just trained and trained and trained. And I think when you go into like competition, though, it's such a different intensity level. And
hmm
I know you got to compete. I think I remember a bunch of years back, you got to compete in like a 3-day tournament. And that's got to be
man,
unbelievably tasking on the body because you go one day, even though it wasn't in the same night, you were doing it the next day and the next day. How tasking was that on the body? I don't think people realize that.
it's a lot like mentally, because you had to psych yourself. I mean, it's to fight somebody. For me, I'm speaking personally. It took a lot mentally to work yourself up. But honestly, what was way worse was I had to make weight 3 days in a row,
Oh,
and that was that was the worst part. I would rather just fight my 3 times and be done. Um, and but I had to make 155, and they were super strict. I couldn't be any. There's no grace at all. 3 days in a row. So every night I was cutting about 10 to 12 pounds.
oh wow.
3 nights in a row, and that because you got to hydrate to be ready for the fight the next day. And then as soon as the fight's over, you hydrate a little bit, and then you got to cut weight again for the next day. So
Yeah, it's
that was
crazy.
brutal. That was brutal.
I've never been in the position where I've really had to cut weight too
Mm,
much.
that's that's okay.
I was on
I
the
don't
opposite side
recommend
of the
it.
spectrum. When I was as a kid, I remember playing football and I was always the smallest kid on the field, so I absolutely hated it when I was really young. And half the team, half the starters, they would be out running laps with trash bags on and crazy stuff, trying to cut weight so they could weigh in for the football game. And they didn't know until the last minute if they were going to be able to play or not. And then they'd have to flip their jerseys inside out and stand on the sidelines. But I never had to worry about that. So I would imagine it's, quite the undertaking on the body. And not only the body, but, like you said, mentally too.
It's a lot. Um, sorry, I was just chatting with Kinder.
Yeah, I see that. Kinder, thanks for
Kinder's
joining
on.
us this morning. I know where is this? Is it like 6:30 on his side of the town?
Yeah, he must be on the West Coast.
Uh,
Uh, if he's over there, so if it's 6:30, so
Maui's in
um,
Norway. Wonder what time it is over there. She said good afternoon, so they must be ahead
yeah,
of us.
I don't know what time it is in Norway. Okay, Kinder's in Arizona.
Oh,
Cool,
nice. Boy, I heard it's
cool.
hot out there right now. I heard some areas got up to like 130 degrees. It was hot
That's
here and it was
insane.
in the 90s. I couldn't imagine 130. It is a little bit drier out there, so maybe not the humidity that we have here. But
Well, and as kind of back to where we started with Bruce Lee, I just got some quick things to share. Let's see. I got 10 facts about Bruce Lee.
see
There we
if I can
go.
pull this up a little bit bigger for us, where you can see it.
And we'll go through because I got this and then one other page, so we'll just kind of real briefly go through some of these. I thought some of them were interesting. Let's see. His first movie he starred in when he was 10 years old. So I didn't know that he was that young. Let's see. His father was a famous opera singer. Let's see. Bruce Lee was actually born in San Fran.
I don't think I knew that.
I got to go see his the gravesite also and that is in
Seattle?
Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in Seattle. So I got to go see that. That was really cool. I got a picture there. Um, let's see. He was an exquisite cha-cha dancer. So I did not realize that. And you know, that doesn't surprise me honestly because the footwork required.
Yeah.
Um, like the coordination of that is incredible. I know I did some dancing lessons for like 6 months with my wife as we were getting ready for our wedding. We did a fun dance, but man, that
So
took
that
a
was
lot of work.
secretly to make your footwork better?
It was, uh, yeah, I was definitely sneaking in some extra training. Um, so yeah, dancing was hard.
Oh
That was
yeah.
so. I gained a lot of respect for those guys. Bruce Lee refused to lose a fight to Robin. I thought that was pretty funny. Um, yeah, that was. Let's see. He trained many Hollywood stars.
Yeah, did you know one of his biggest goals? Scroll back down there, because he trained Steve McQueen and
Yep,
I
right here.
believe quite a few other people. And what his first goal, I think, was to be a bigger movie star than Steve McQueen. That was
Oh
his
wow.
goal. I was reading somewhere, and I thought that was pretty cool. You said about the cha-cha dancing. I remember seeing him doing some cha-cha dancing, I believe, in one of the movies that I watched that he was
Okay,
in as a kid.
that would make sense. Um, so I thought this one was interesting. He had his sweat glands removed. Did you know that?
No, I've never heard that.
Yeah, I didn't know that
I
either.
didn't
So
I didn't even know you could do that.
I didn't know either. So he was so filming all these movies, he got kind of annoyed with sweating so much and he didn't like the sweat stains on all of his clothes and stuff when he was, I guess, filming. So yeah, he went under a procedure to get those
That's
removed.
crazy.
Um, I think those are all the interesting ones um, there. So let me share one more screen here. This one is every Bruce Lee movie ranked from worst to best.
Hmm.
Of course, this is someone's opinion. This guy Matthew Polly, I kept seeing his name pop up with everything Bruce Lee, and he wrote, if I'm not mistaken, he wrote a book about Bruce Lee, and just he wrote a lot about martial arts in general. But he did a lot of research on Bruce Lee, so there's a lot of articles and stuff written by him.
Hmm.
So this is obviously his opinion. I'm not going to go through all of them, but what I did learn from this is I have some movies to watch because I don't know about like most of these. Uh, so I guess I'll probably the worst couple, Game of Death. I never saw that one. The Birth of Mankind, Wealth is Like a Dream. Thunderstorm, Golden Gate Girl. Have you seen any of those?
I've seen some of them. There's a couple names I don't even recognize, to be honest. Yeah, Thunderstorm
Yeah,
I've never heard of. Golden Gate Girl I've never heard of.
yeah. The list keeps going,
Wow.
and then
So 24 was the worst
yeah, yeah. It started at the worst and it goes to the best.
because there's a lot of movies
Um,
on this list I've never heard of, and I've definitely heard of Game of Death. Hmm,
so not until Fist of Fury. So I
yeah,
know that one. The Big Boss. They got these at the top five. Fist of Fury, The Big Boss, The Way
Way
of
of
the
the Dragon.
Dragon,
Yep.
The Orphan, which actually I have not seen that,
I haven't seen
and
that one
then
either.
and then Enter the Dragon for number one.
Yeah. So
So,
the big, if I remember correct, the Big Boss was his first big film because so he actually was trying to get a film deal. The way I read it, anyways, was in the States, and he had this idea of um, it was like bringing a Western or bringing Eastern to Western was the kind of the philosophy there, and I think he pretty much made the storyline of what was the movie with David Carradine, Kung Fu. So the way it was explained in one of the articles that I read, and this is a long time ago, is that Bruce Lee actually created that concept for that movie, but because he was Asian descent, they wouldn't let him play the part, so it went to David Carradine. And there were some similar things with the Green Hornet. And I don't know if you've ever seen that. It was out years ago, and it actually ended up getting canceled. But in that show, the Green Hornet, he had to wear a mask. And again, it was because he was Asian. They wouldn't put an Asian person on screen at that time in the movie industry. So he
hmm,
always had the mask on.
interesting. You know, reading this, the worst one, Game of Death, uh, which Kinder said has Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in it.
Does
Um, I need to go watch this one. I haven't seen it either. Says this. I guess this is Matthew Polly's take on it, but this is the flick Bruce Lee fans love to hate. In 1972, Lee filmed 30 minutes of fight scenes for a movie about a yellow jumpsuited hero, which I
Mhm.
do know. I do know that. Uh, you know that image. Who battles his way up a five-story pagoda to retrieve a secret treasure. Lee died before he completed the project. But 5 years later, Golden Harvest Studios unearthed the footage, cut it down to 7 minutes, and stuck it on the end of a creaky plot about a Chinese stuntman who gets shot in the face, gets reconstructive surgery, and takes revenge from beyond the grave. The whole thing is a distasteful mess. That was his opinion on it. So that's pretty interesting. Knowing that stuff now, I might have to go watch that sometime this week or this weekend.
Yeah, I haven't seen those movies in quite some time now, but I definitely remember all of them and some of the popular scenes with the mirror image, and he had the claws that scratched across his chest.
Ooh, okay. Um, yeah, that's an iconic scene.
Oh yeah,
I've definitely seen that one. Okay, I have a question for you, and I have a question for those watching, and leave it in the comments. The famous video of Bruce Lee playing ping pong with nunchucks.
that was pretty cool.
Okay, do you think it's real or fake?
I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, ping pong was around back then, so it's possible. I've tried it. I'll be honest, I did try it, and I couldn't even hit the ball.
Okay, so all right, just going back, I was oh man, how old was I? When I was 12 to 14, somewhere in that range, I was nunchuck state champion for the state of Tennessee, and nunchucks have always been like my favorite weapons. So I feel pretty good with them. I competed a lot. I still teach it, daily. So, um, and I couldn't even hit the ball.
Yeah.
So, so I was like, come on. All right. So my unpopular opinion is I think that that video is not real.
I don't think it is. I don't see how it could be. I
Kinder
mean, if
says
there is
real.
one person that could do it, it would be him. He's just so fast and just his timing. is just unparalleled to anyone. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was doctored.
I do too. You know, Kinder says real, but I don't know if that's REAI, like it was,
Yeah.
uh, like it was AI. I don't know. Um, but no, I just I don't think it was real. Also, I look at the ball. Okay, if you watch the video, so I have done some. I'll have a ping pong ball. I did some videos and stuff, and I hit some ping pong balls with nunchucks, and the ball just takes off so fast.
Yeah.
Um, Much faster than in the video with him. So and he's hitting the ball um, pretty hard, and it doesn't seem like the ball is reacting as quickly as it should when he hits it. So
And it didn't seem to be denting, which you would think from a nunchuck it would too.
that's yeah, that's also true. Um, and I guess in the Discord, I'll Maui hasn't seen it. I'll find a video of it on YouTube and I'll post it in the Discord. Um, for those of you guys that want to watch it. So yeah, leave in the comments if you think that that was a real video or a fake video. Jump in the Discord and I can post that video there as well.
So I didn't realize I was reading up, and I've watched a lot of Jackie Chan movies over the years and really like Jackie Chan. I think he's a seems to be a really good person, good martial artist, and I believe he grew up in Chinese theater as well. And he was a stuntman. That's actually how he met Bruce Lee, I believe.
Mm,
Um, there was a story about he was coming up behind Bruce Lee, and Bruce Lee hit him in the head with a stick or something, and he was a stuntman. And I think back then they said he made like $1 a day being a stuntman, doing all the stuff that he did as a starter, and ended up Bruce Lee got him into some, I guess, some stunt work within some of the
mm,
movies that he was doing. So, and I think he's
interesting.
actually played some parts in Bruce Lee movies um, after he was passed on.
Hmm,
So he was like I think the go-to, and kind of stepped in and played the part of Bruce Lee in future movies, which was
okay,
interesting.
that is interesting. Pretty cool. So I don't know. That's all I had on Bruce Lee this morning. Did you have anything else?
No, it's interesting all the stories there's been over the year too on how he died.
Yeah, I guess there's some different stories on that. Um, I mean, overdose is the isn't that the large consensus?
Yeah, they said he was prescribed a medicine. It was a painkiller of some sort, and it didn't react well to him,
Mm,
and he died from it. There was also an interview I saw with actually Jackie Chan. I think was this interview I saw, and he had talked about he had seen Bruce Lee the night before he passed on. I believe they went
mm,
bowling together, and Bruce Lee went bowling, and then Bruce was going to leave, and Jackie said bye to him, and that was like the last time he seen him. Um, yeah, so it was. They say painkillers, but who knows? There's so many different stories, and there's been a lot of myths over the years, and it's interesting because his son died, kind of controversial too, while he was filming a movie. I think it was The Crow or something.
mm-hmm,
So it was very interesting. They say there's like a family curse.
mm.
Uh, some people
Interesting,
say the mafia was involved, so who really knows, I guess. Could have
man.
been someone
I
in
mean,
the film community, who knows if it was that. I don't know.
well, he knew so many people and um, man had a lot of connections and maybe good, maybe bad. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So,
Yeah.
well, how are
All
we
right.
looking in Hyde Park this week?
Um, yeah, I'll just do a real quick update. Um, Completed builds 559. So moving right on up. It's gonna be cool to get to that 1,000 number. I think we're take a little bit of time, but that'll be cool. Um, all right, I know we had. Let's see if we ticked over that 73% mark to 74%. We've been trying to do that for quite a while now. Looking it up now. because I know we. Hey, hey, how about that? 74%.
Oh, fantastic.
Yep, we finally ticked over. There's 2,216 properties left to mint in Hyde Park, and so I think from yesterday, I checked it yesterday. I think that's 5 properties minted uh,
Cool.
between yesterday and today. So that was enough to tick us over the 74% mark. So all right, good deal.
Cool. So we only have about 70 properties, maybe to 75%.
I also did the math on that. It was like I think it was like 83 properties,
83. I was
or
thinking we could
yeah,
do a 75 to 75 contest. 75 properties to 75%.
yeah, yeah. That's about. I can look at the math. Actually, I guess it's. I think it's 85.
Is it 85? And then you said we were
Yeah,
five over, so that's putting us closer to 80, I guess.
times 0.01. Yeah, so 85 properties because there's 8,527 uh, properties total. So 1% of that is 85. So
Nice.
85.2. So yeah, so 85 properties to.
Maybe we can do a 175 subscribers, 75% minted out, and we'll do a giveaway.
Yeah, that sounds
How
good.
about that? We'll do that.
Yeah. All right, cool. That sounds good.
Very cool. All right, we'll put that down and announce that this week. All right, did you get yourself some FIFA legits?
I got a few. Um, I got a pass and a quarterfinals pass and some rare boots. So I got some legits to I guess play the ladies soccer, uh, Jacqueline and Sunny Minded's game,
Awesome.
and then I might try to flip a few of the legits. I'm not huge into soccer, but I always grab a few.
Yeah, I did the same. I'm not a huge soccer person.
Yeah,
My brother's a big soccer guy. He loves soccer. His kids are both really good at it and play. I've always been more martial arts and I watch
yeah,
a little bit of football. I actually don't watch a ton of sports, just too busy teaching and doing other stuff. But yeah, I did pick up a few, and I've actually got to go in and look and see what I've got because I'm not even sure what I got. I had bought them kind of in between lunch or something the other day when I was teaching, and got to
yeah.
go in and take a look at them. So,
Cool.
how did the UFC finish out this weekend? I didn't get to watch any of the fights actually. Um, who ended up winning the UFC pick'em contest?
Radix 7.
Oh, nice.
He ended up winning the uh, yeah, our pick'ems in the Discord, and I was able to watch some of the fights. I didn't know hardly anybody on the card, so it was a lot of people I did not know, but there was some really good fights. Sometimes on these cards where there's not a lot of big names that everybody knows, man, sometimes the fights are better
Yeah.
because everybody's really like they're really fighting hard to make their name and make their presence known in the UFC. So they're just letting it all out in the cage. And sometimes those higher names, they have that name to protect. Um, Football, sorry, Maui. Football, not soccer. uh, but yeah, so man, yeah, it was some great fights. The only person I guess I did know Tom Aspinall and I don't know how to say his first name, Markin or Marcin Tibera. I have seen them before. Tom Aspinall won in 1 minute and 13 seconds
Ooh.
with TKO. He looked really sharp. Um, there's talks of him going against John Jones
Oh,
potentially
wow.
at some point. And then Molly McCann. I did know Molly McCann. She ended up um, getting submitted by
Oh, wow.
armbar.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and then the rest I didn't know their names very well, but yeah. So I got to watch some of them, and um, overall, it was Really good night of fights.
I actually didn't get my picks in this week. I can't believe it. I didn't realize they were
Mm,
starting so early, and I got out of class. I think my last jujitsu class finished up about 2 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock, and by the time I logged in, it already had started.
mm,
So I missed it this week. So got to get back
man.
back at it this week. So is this a main card coming up this week, or is this the one in Nashville, or is that next week?
No, so this week is a great card. It's Gaethje and Poirier.
Oh, is that this week? Okay.
That's this weekend. UFC 291. You got Alex Pereira fighting, Stephen
Hmm.
Wonderboy Thompson, Michael Pereira, Tony Ferguson, Bobby Green, Kevin Holland, Michael Chiesa. Um,
Oh, Thompson's on this card.
oh yeah, he's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's a
I
local
love him.
guy. He doesn't live too far actually. He's right in I
Really.
think Simpsonville.
I just watched a little, very short documentary on him, and just a respectful, humble guy. Teaches classes just like we
Yep.
do, teaching kids, and then trains after hours, before hours, and just a beast. And so I really like him.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for him. I've been up to their academy actually. I did a little bit of training with Carlos Machado a few times, and I would meet up there.
Nice.
They're, well, I believe, actually related. I think that's his son-in-law or nephew-in-law or something. I think it's Carlos's nephew. So
Okay.
they have a really good school, and every time I've been there, he's been out on the floor teaching kids classes and stuff. So he's a hard worker, and he puts in the work in the ring too. So he
Yeah.
seems like a really good guy.
Yeah. So that'd be another good night of fight. Good night of fights.
Very nice. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up for today. So thanks for joining us this morning with Ninjava. Don't forget, we did have Ninjava went live this past week, and make sure to get on. I think we put out the code. What was the code? Is that Ninjava 23?
Ninjava 23, and it actually expired like midnight last night. So everybody, give me about 10 minutes after we get off here, and I'll reactivate that code. We're gonna have that code active this. We're gonna extend that all through this week. So we're
Extend
wanting some
that
people to.
through the birthday.
Oh, that's right. You got a birthday coming up.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
we could do that for
I'll
the
uh,
expiration date.
I'll send you some
Not my
coffee for your
expiration date,
birthday.
Ninjava's expiration date.
Not your expiration date. Yeah, let's hope not.
I
Let's hope
know.
not. We need to keep the ninjas around. That's funny. Yeah, so Ninjava 23, that'll be the code to get you $2 off. Give me 10 minutes from wrapping up this video to go extend that. Um, and yeah, we'll be good to go.
I'll try to put a link of that video that we did with the Ninjava. So if you guys want to click the link in the description, I'll try to put that in there as well. Or you can just go to hydeparkninjas.com and click on Ninjava, and that'll take you right to it as well. So I believe that information is on our about in YouTube, so you can check that out
Yep,
there as well. Get right there and hook up, save a couple bucks. And I, I've heard so much about our coffee from other people, and I drink it all the time now.
yep.
The other day, I was in a pinch. I had the crazy camps going on, and I was wiped out. So I stopped at Starbucks to get a cup of coffee, and it was hard to drink. I,
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Starbucks coffee anyway. But
the
the
taste was
Ninjava
just
is,
like so bitter as compared
yeah,
to the classic roast is so smooth. It's got that nice blend of blueberries, kiwis. Oh, it's just so good.
nice and smooth, just like your jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah, that's right. So,
Kinder, we are going to be doing this Monday and Wednesday mornings, as consistently as possible. Um, and so not every morning, but Monday and Wednesday mornings, we should be able to jump on and hang out, talk some martial arts, talk some Hyde Park, talk some Hyde Park ninjas. Um, yeah, and just hang out.
yep. And I think this Wednesday we'll be on again at 9:15, and we're going to have a special guest. We have a female kickboxer, kickbox instructor, so we'll get to meet her. So definitely tune in for that, and we'll learn a little bit about her and her journey, and what got her into martial arts too. So that'll be pretty cool.
Well, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe, and also leave a comment if you think that Bruce Lee ping pong video is real or fake. So let us know your thoughts.
All right. Have a good day, everyone.
All right, guys. Thanks for kicking with the ninjas.